YouTube, Quinn Wade, coming to y'all with some basketball analysis on Paul George and the Sixers agreeing to a 4-year, $212 million deal. Paul George and them want to get them paired with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. He feel like he has a great core that can go there and help. They also wanted to bring back Kelly Oubre, and they ended up doing that. I'll get to that a little later. George and his agent met with Daryl Morey, Josh Harris, Elton Brand, Julius Erving, and Peter Dinwiddie in Los Angeles to reach the agreement with the Sixers. He was doing that literally earlier this morning and yesterday. Once he figured out that the Clippers wasn't going to give him the 4th year. Earlier in the day, George and the Clippers were determined, and neither side would move off their long-held negotiation. So they came to a halt, and they couldn't agree to a deal, so he went to his other options. George continued to see a 4-year deal with the Clippers, only will offer him a 3-year deal, so that's the furthest they would go with him. The Clippers said, we'll just lose you if we can't get you for 3 years. We definitely don't want to do the 4 years. We for sure about that. And the Sixers said, we'll just give you the deal that you want, basically, because the Clippers announced that George intended to leave the franchise, and they began to pursue other targets like Derrick Jones Jr. And George also was interested in joining the Golden State Warriors on an opt-in trade, but sides were not able to find a deal that the Clippers would accept. Obviously, you don't want to take anything, especially with a guy of this value. It makes sense to, exhaust all your options like they would, and you got to give Clippers credit for doing that. George joined the Clippers in 2019, which in a huge trade with Oklahoma involving Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, which he helped them make the playoffs while the Clippers are still in the playoff hunt, even now because they ended up re-signing James Harden. 4 unprotected picks and 2 pick swaps. George has been an all-star only 3 of the 4 seasons. In 2023-2004, George played 74 games. He did average 22.6 last season, 5 rebounds and 3.5 assists, and he did shoot 41% on three-pointers, which is above average. That's why he had a lot of value. But you look at the fact that he's getting older. You look at the fact that he's not really making a difference on some of these teams when it comes to having deep playoff runs, which the Clippers didn't do. Neither did the Oklahoma City Thunder. While you think about that and you say, what is different, with our core, how confident in our core are we that we can give this one guy a big piece of our money to be a big piece and foundation piece of our franchise? Can we win a lot of games because of that decision? And nobody really has been able to figure that out with Paul George. Indiana was the closest, going to Eastern Conference Finals. That's just one series away from ending up in the NBA Finals where you can actually compete for a championship. And that's the closest he has been. But that's when he was in his 20s. That was early in his career when he defended better. That was before he got injured at Team USA practice. And that's a long story within itself that shows you that, he worked his way back to being a quality player, one of the best players in the league, but it hasn't really threaded that needle to where people have been able to compete for titles with him as one of their big parts of their core, even though he's expecting to get paid like some All-NBA first teamers, which he was with the Oklahoma City Thunder. He just never was able to bring home, that fulfillment of being the franchise guy. He feels like it, he plays like it sometimes, but he just don't have the playoff success outside of Indiana, which is already over 10 years from now. 10 years ago, I would say. And it's just crazy. But outside of that, I think that Joel Embiid is going to be happy. Maxey, who is very aggressive and very penetratable to be able to kick and find open shooters. Obviously, he can play off the ball. I'm talking about Paul George. Obviously, he can, create his own shot. They need a guy like that. They need a guy that can step up in big moments. Tobias Harris always seemed like he led a little bit every time he was on the court. Seemed like he couldn't really step up his game. It didn't seem like he was able to take his game to higher levels. It seemed like he just couldn't be a big impact player, when it mattered most, and they gave up on him after a while. And I feel like the Clippers feel the same way about Paul George. It's just not their problem anymore. It's a Sixers problem. And Joel Embiid is just as injury riddled as Kawhi Leonard, and if Paul George is going to be asked to play a bigger part, it can help his Hall of Fame case because he can make a more All NBA team, more All Star teams because he's needed more. But you could have did the same thing with the Clippers. You just lose a year. I think you want the security because he is getting older and he still does have the ability to play at a high level, and he still does want to play at a high level. So it makes sense from his perspective to get the deal as long as you can get it, especially when it's mutual teams that's willing to offer it to you, like the Sixers, and give you the same role. It makes perfect sense, from Paul George's perspective, for this to go on and it to end this way. Rival execs, expect that Lauri Markkanen can possibly get traded to the Warriors or the Spurs. Obviously, he's a great fit with Wembanyama, a guy that can be out the way and shoot threes and mid ranges, and also do some high-low passing, and also be a solid rebounder, and a guy that can stay out the way defensively too, as one can be a roamer and one can be a rim protector. So in terms of fit offensively and defensively, it makes sense that the Spurs would be interested, especially after picking up Chris Paul, a guy that really knows how to get guys in order and get guys their shots and spread the offense and still be aggressive looking for his shot. And obviously the Warriors have a bunch of floor spacers, so as long as you guys step in the pick and roll or pick and pop, which they can do too, and they still got Draymond, who's a great passer for his position, and still a guy that can, be a great defender from time to time, even though he's older. It makes sense, for those teams to be interested in Lauri Markkanen. Some more news. Lakers are still interested in DeMar DeRozan. This isn't really new. This is something that they've been trying to seek after for a long period of time, is to get DeMar in a Lakers uniform. I've been talking about it. They wanted to trade for him and Levine. They ended up going with the D'Angelo Russell package and the Rui package. But we'll see if it actually comes to fruition. But the Lakers are an aggressive type of organization, so I can see things changing on that, especially because DeMar is a free agent almost. Kelly Oubre Jr., Sixers agreed to a 2-year. The deal is only worth $16 million, so they give him a solid contract. He's more just of a backdoor cutter, a driver. Can't really shot make as much efficiently. Not a great 3-point shooter, but you need bodies and you need guys that's athletic. You can't teach it, and you need guys that can get you out in transition and get those easy baskets. And you just need guys that can contribute. And this is one of the best players that they can get. Derrick Jones Jr., like I said, the deal on that with the Clippers is a 3-year, $30 million deal, so $10 million a year. That's how much you're going to pay for a high-end role player. He's lanky. He can defend. He can be a capable 3-point shooter. He can be a solid rebounder. He can be a switchable player. The Clippers need those 3-and-D type of guys, and they usually go for them, and it makes a lot of sense for the Clippers to do, especially after losing Paul George. That was one of the biggest news, was Derrick Jones Jr. We have more news. Like I said before, James Harden did do a 1+1 $70 million deal, and everybody else is still waiting to sign. We still don't know where Klay is going to go. A lot of people have been saying he's going to be a Maverick, and that's going to be really good for his career because he obviously likes to shoot, and Luka likes to pass to the corners and to the top of the key. And he's a guy that draws a lot of attention, and you don't really have to worry about a lot of that stuff because he's going to be the primary decision maker. You just got to be able to be a shot maker and a guy that can facilitate a little bit if you don't have a clean look. And that's an easy role for a guy like Klay Thompson because he done did it basically his whole entire career, even before he even made it to the NBA. And it's either you got the shot or keep the ball moving, and that's something that they actually need to have in Dallas more often, is instead of guys just taking shots that can't really make them or taking shots that don't really make much sense. They can just keep the ball rolling and just pass it to shooters, and I feel like their offseason has been decent. And then I wanted to talk about J.B. Bickerstaff. He ended up getting fired as the Cleveland Cavaliers coach. He ended up getting rehired as a Detroit Piston coach. So he's a guy that show you that he can help you develop. He's patient. He knows his X's and O's. He knows how to get a team from rebuilding to being successful. He did it with the Cavs. Before they made it to the playoffs, he was their coach. He helped them, with the draft. He helped grow the talent. He helped the team get in a good position in the playoffs, and they actually on a successful track as him being a head coach for primarily that run. And I think you just need positive energy. You just need a guy with more patience, for Detroit. They trying to get a lot of talent down there with Cade Cunningham, who they obviously just paid 5 years, 200+ million to yesterday. He's their guy. He's the franchise right now. And now you get a coach that can make him smarter, make him wiser, put him in better situations, and help them fill out that roster with more talent so that way they can get back on their winning ways. And like I said, JB Bickerstaff is one of those guys where he can get you to that part where you're a playoff team, but can he do more than that? Can he be a championship coach? Can he be a coach that can get you into that dominant run? I feel like he can get you to good to great, but can he get you from great to championship? That's the only question of JB. It's not disrespectful. It's not something that I'm saying to hurt his career. It's just something that he has to say and something that he has to believe, something that he has to do if he don't want to get fired again like he did with Cleveland. Like, we got to the playoffs, we needed you to get there, and they still let him go. You don't want that to happen again to you in Detroit, especially when you got a franchise guy like Cade who just on another level already in his third season. So that's just my opinion. That's just my thoughts on the free agency, on Paul George, on JB Bickerstaff primarily, and obviously the role players that are slowly finding where they need to go as the biggest domino has finally got taken off the table, and now it's just about where Clay's going to go, where DeMar DeRozan's going to go, and we got some type of news of where they possibly could. You just wanted to hear what I thought, so why not just put it out? Other than that, comment, like, subscribe, and share. Hit the notification bell for more analysis. This is a busy time of the year, draft, playoffs, and then the off season of free agency. And since it's going a lot faster and a lot quicker, I got more content that's going to be a little nostalgic while still being current, like the free agency news or anything like that, and still giving y'all something new to see as we get ready for another season, 2024 and 2025 season coming up in October. Other than that, I'm gone.